said you don't listen to the podcast for a start. So, but did one with Luke Dillon, and he said that your family has the longest continuous registered sprint car in the country.
Yeah, well, we believe so too. Like, as in the longest running team, I think, to field a car like season after season for I don't know, 45 years. I believe my dad started in his first sprint car about 1978. So the 37 sprint car, Anderson Motorsport, now Anderson Mons Racing. 1978, the 37 sprint car's been on track every season up till this point. So, yeah, it's something we can be very proud of. I mean, obviously the first 20, 25 years of it, my father racing, he had a dream to go sprint car racing. I mean, he was always into cars, I think, growing up, but his father wasn't into car racing. He was into cars, but anyway, I believe Dad actually saw an exhibition one time at the Albury Showgrounds when he was a young fella, and some guy had a super modified there, and Dad sort of remembers fondly that he looked at it and must have said, "I'm going to drive one of these things one day." So, yeah, had a dream, and he stuck to it, and built the team up to what it is today. And yeah, I've been lucky enough to when it came my time that the car was there, and certainly wasn't all handed to me, but the opportunity was there to have a crack at it, and the family, great support. So they said, "Look, we'll help you do it, but it's certainly not going to be easy." And I've found that out, mate. It's very rewarding, but the hardest thing I've ever tried to do in my life is drive one of these things and be successful at it. Anything I want to do in life, I'm very competitive, and you want to do it for fun, but at the end of the day, it's nothing more fun than winning and doing well at something. So
that's where your brain's at, like just in general kind of thing. Like that's where your switch gets flicked, sort of thing.
What do you like, the competitive side or the? Well, yeah, I guess it's just built in you. Like, I believe, I was born with that competitive streak, and then, it comes from my father and my parents too. Whatever you do in life, you want to try and do it as well as you can, and I certainly would like to be more successful. You always want to be winning more, but at the same time, very proud of what we've achieved, and I still believe there's a lot more can be done. This is a sort of game that, like youth and like raw speed, it definitely can get you started off, but experience definitely comes into play as well. So there's that happy medium. I'm 42 now, but I feel like I'm nearly at the peak of the balance of my skills and smartness in racing. Obviously, I wish I had more experience and was still 20 years old, but at the same time, we do all right. So, we'll just see what the future holds.
Shows that you can do in Australia, I think that's the difference between, like, Australia. Well, one of the differences between American and Australian drivers, like, you look at the amount of shows that just, wouldn't matter what your budget is in Australia, you can probably still only hit 50 shows max, sort of thing. Whereas, obviously in America, you could hit like 150 if you really wanted to, or like even more. So it's like that seat time is just critical.
Absolutely. Like, you just get a lot more advanced very quickly. Like, for example, and this is just my career, but you can get in it when you're 16, and I was hoping for that too, but my dad was still very competitive and doing well. He wasn't ready to get out. He was sort of 48 at that time. So really, I had to wait till when I got in the 37, I was about 21, 22. So there's 6 years of, if it was possible, 6 years of seat time you could have got and those laps. Whereas, like you say, in America, like a 22-year-old these days, if you got the chance, a 22-year-old's done three or 400 races.
Yeah.
In America, like you know, Gio and Corey Day and all those young guys. Whereas for me to get to that point, I was probably, you know, between 25 nights a season. So by the time you do 100 races, 120 races, you're 32, 35.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just don't advance as quick, I guess, and that's like anything in life, isn't it? Like the more you can be doing it, the quicker you're going to progress and whatnot. But like you say, Australia, you know, just the population and whatnot, we just don't have as much racing, and the country is huge, of course, so, you know, long kilometres in between race tracks and events. So, yeah, we just can't get those 80, 90 races a year like the Americans. You know, we've got to be really sticking somewhere between 20 and 30.
Yeah, and that's sort of... Is that your budget as well? Like...
Yeah, so... we've got the team here, but we certainly run on a budget. So each year, it you know, depending on what sponsors we've got, we're all doing it after hours. The crew, everyone in that regard. So it's a juggling act out here. Like at the end of the day, it's just a hobby, and we'd all like to be doing it professionally, but the reality is we're not. So we've got to balance family life, like I say, crew, budget, of course. So yeah, we start off with a budget. There is some money up for grabs along the way, of course, as in prize money. So depending on, you know, what success you can have along the way and what you're tearing up along the way determines how the season goes. So whereas I guess, yeah, some bigger budgeted teams can set out their schedule, not so reliant on funds. It's, you know, like anything, money can make things easier in that regard. Whereas, you know, the majority of cars out there, yeah, I think are running on a budget. So it depends on how the season's going as to how much racing you can do. So that's how we do it. Yeah, start off with a decent plan in mind, and then depending on, yeah, like I said, success during the season and non-success as to how deep the season goes.
Because, like, being based here in Albury, you're travelling regardless, aren't you? Like, you're doing, what, 2 hours down Warrnambool, 3 hours? 4?
To Warrnambool, like, it's 4 to us to Avalon, like 7, 6.5, 7 in the to Warrnambool.
Yeah, right.
6.5, 7 to Sydney. So we're reasonably central, but that is the other difficult thing for us. And anyway, it's just where we live. This is where the business was to run the car. So, you know, over the years it's been easy for people to say, why don't you just move closer to racetracks? Well, you know, life's not that easy. And so this is where we are. But yes, you're right. So it takes our whole weekend basically to do one night's racing. So that is the hardest thing. Like I said, we're all got young families and whatnot. So to do a Warrnambool show Saturday night, we leave here 6:30 a.m. in the truck Saturday morning. You know, we drive there, get there by 2:30, set up, race for the night. Then we generally got two or three of us, myself and Dad and one other guy that can drive the truck. So get out of the pits there at midnight, Saturday night, hit the road. We got some beds in the truck, so we hit the road, get as far as we can pull up and sleep if we want, but generally we want to get home. So
yeah.
Dave will drive to 2 or 3 in the morning, then I'll do the graveyard, get home 7 a.m. Sunday morning. So we've been up for 24 hours, and then by that time, obviously, get home. You either got to hit the bed and go to bed till lunchtime Sunday, and then you're pretty ordinary Sunday arvo and back to work Monday. So that's the hardest thing on families, as as the season goes on, like you start doing that, and like I said, that's nearly every weekend the same deal. When we did Sydney races, Geelong's a little better. Like we get to leave at 10 a.m. Saturday morning and would get back between 4 and 5 a.m. Sunday morning. But that's the difference between, say you're from Warrnambool or you're from Sydney. You can go out there, you know, Saturday afternoon, do your race, you know, have a beer and a sausage after the event. Everyone's home in bed by 1 a.m. A lot easier on the families, a lot easier to have continuous people coming along to help, and because you really, it's only taking up your evening, I guess, or your Saturday afternoon and evening, and it leaves the weekend for some other family time, whereas, and we understand that. It's always been the same. This is where I've grown up. You know, Dad's been here his whole racing career, so it's a huge strain, as in the travelling side of it. I'm not the best traveller either, and it definitely takes its toll. Like, I just want to teleport to to bloody races, do me racing, and get out of there and get home. But it's just the way it is, and like it keep coming back in right from the word go. Like no one's making me do it. No one's ever made me do it. It's something that I've wanted to do. Like grew up watching Dad want to do it, but at the end of the day, no one's making me do it. It's up to us. We choose to do it, so there's no point complaining about it, and get in and have a go. But over the years, you know, and I've had great help, and my guys have been with me 10 or 15 years, nearly I've been racing 20 years now. My crew, my crew chief Craig and Josh and Evan, they've really stuck by me over the 15 years, but we're all got young families. Everyone's got a couple of kids now, under 10. It's just a huge juggling act. Obviously, you know, birthdays here and there, people go on holidays. You got to do that because at the end of the day, this is not paying anyone's bills. Yeah. It's just taking all our free time. But at the same time, we love it. But it definitely takes its toll, especially when the things aren't going to plan. Like if you're not getting the result you want, it's definitely easy to get down and out and start wondering what are we really doing it for. But at the end of the day, success here and there, it makes it all worth it. And got a great team camaraderie, and win and lose together. And when the wins come along, they're super sweet. But it's definitely not all roses.
Yeah, because like probably the other like major flip side to that coin, like the regular punter might not know, like these guys that we see in America that are racing for a living, it's like they're racing for a living, but they're not making money during the week, and they don't have partners, or they don't have kids, they don't have solid relationships with many people other than the guys at the track. So, like how many of those guys too, when they get later on in life, they've got nothing. Like they just race through their like 20s, 30s, and then it gets to their 40s and it's like, shit, I need a job. It's like that flip coin to it is like you've set yourself up in that regard, and it's like, no, I totally agree. Huge juggling act, and obviously at a younger age, hopes and dreams, like you got your future ahead of you. And like I grew up watching sprint car racing. My dad was racing, so I grew up. So all I wanted to do as a young bloke, race cars. I'm going to be a sprint car driver. I'm going to make money out of it. That's what I'm going to do. Like, and you know, my parents were honest with me and whatnot, and encouraged me to chase the dreams in that regard. But at the older, and as time went on, and through my own decisions, not theirs, getting girlfriends and doing different things, and not committing, I guess, 100% to trying to make a living out of it. I guess I don't know exactly where I'm going with this. It just,
the reality is when you're younger, yeah, I guess you had hopes and dreams of being a pro, but as time goes on, especially in this country, very, very difficult. And I'm not saying it can't be done, and I believe the newer, like James is definitely, James McFadden, he's done it. He's definitely sacrificed a lot, and he had the skills and the talent to do it. But the 10 or 15 years prior to where he is now, like he's made the Pinnacle, of course, Outlaw Tour, getting to do it with his family. I'm not saying it would be easy at all, but getting to live out his dream. But those 15 years prior, he's had a fairly public career, but those early years of going every year to America, and I don't know the full ins and outs, but I'm sure, just sleeping on floors, trailers, bringing people, begging for rides, begging for opportunities to get to this point. But I guess a lot of people won't persevere or don't have the talent. So he's made it in that regard. The ones prior to him, the Madsen boys, Tatnall, they're all Aussies, of course, but to make a living out of it have had to move to America, basically, like find partners or get a green card somehow, and have had to live there. So that tells me that there's just not enough racing going on. There's not enough money in the sport in Australia to be professional, to actually make a living out of it, be able to pay your crew, like to run a professional team that generates sponsors, and you pay 2 or 3 guys to work on it, and that's your job. The money's just not here. The racing's not here. The only way that can be done is through a wealthy car owner or wealthy family that are able to fund it, because...
And just know that they're going to hemorrhage money.
Yes, because as far as, even if you got all the equipment, the team, the truck, ready to go, and say, okay, we're starting with 0, but we're going to run our team off earnings. You just know, even if you win every race in this country,
you wouldn't be going far.
Yeah, you're still not going to be able to pay your bills, because everything's 3, 4, 5 times as much as the US, just down to diesel, the whole running of the car. Obviously, everything is manufactured in the US. I know things over the years, since COVID, everything's gone up, but it's still gone up here too. So whatever it costs them, it's costing us 4 times as much, just down to the tyre, the methanol, So we're not only racing for a quarter of the prize money, it's costing us 4 times as much to do it.
This is why I'm starting to hear a lot of guys talk about they'll take their Australian budget and go to America. They're not going to race for the whole, like the length of time that you would for our season. They'll race a much shorter season, but do more racing in for the same budget, essentially. I think you're going to start seeing a lot more guys going that way as well.
It's certainly a dream of mine. Obviously I want to do my racing and stuff out here, and my team and my sponsors and stuff are out here. I want to be successful here, but I've often thought about certainly if I had my own money to go there and do 3 months solid of racing over there. But the same. It just comes down to there again. It's just time off work, just being able to do it. And like I say, we've all got young families, so it's not just myself sort of getting 3 months off, but your crew. Then you got to get over there, build cars, organise transporter. And the other way of looking at it is, you round up some sort of sponsorship. Thought about this too, and then you go over there, you try and pay for your ride. So who knows? But you get in negotiations, you offer them some sort of money, you buy your ride, and then you possibly work out a race for a percentage of the prize money. But then you go that way, like buying a ride or anything out here. When you're done, you're left with nothing. For example, it's like, say you take 50, 60, 100 grand, 3 months, and yes, you've worked out a deal to hopefully win a bit of prize money. But say you're not that successful. Well, the deal's done, 100 grand. Yes, you got your 3 months of racing. But you come home with nothing. Whereas the flip side is you build up your own team, and that's the way my family's done it. My father's done it. He's built it up, so it can't be taken away from you. But having said that, you wear all the expenses. Yeah, you take on all the stress of running the whole deal and trying to make it all work, as well as trying to drive the car at a competitive level, because these things, as you'd be well aware, they're designed to, you got to drive the piss out of it and be on the edge, to be fast, but calculated edge. But yeah, they're not the sort of car that you can be conserving a hell of a lot. The more you're worried about not crashing or not hurt, like taking care of your equipment too much, and you're going to be up against it because you're up against young guys that are full of confidence, nothing to lose, reflexes are, they're on the top of their game, and they're going to be, they're running the piss out of it. So unless you're doing the same, it's hard to compete with them.
And you're up against some older guys too that are in the same.
You got your older guys and it's a great sport for that, because as the years go on, you do get a bit older. You're meant to get a bit smarter and wiser, and you've been around. So when we all say it's a young man's game, it is, but at the same time, it's the sort of thing, you keep your wits about you. You can certainly be competitive till you're 55, 60.
Oh, for sure. It's probably one of the last motorsports like that, really. Like, you're not going to see that in anything sort of road racing sort of thing. Like,
yeah. It's just such a unique sport. And as much as you need a great team behind you, and it's becoming more and more of a mechanics game, of course. Like, the mechanics need to be very smart, because we're all in similar cars, but it's you just got to self-teach yourself, I suppose. You can have a lot of coaching, I suppose, or you could, not that we had much in our day, but I guess they're a lot different than all other race cars out there, and there's no substitute for seat time in these things. Seat time, which in turn you become more and more confident. Yeah, and racing other cars, just around other cars, it's a lot of it's instinct game, this game, and reactions, I guess. A lot of it, you're not thinking a hell of a lot, you just instinctively, just from experience, you just become better at it. Whereas, you could, I guess, simulators, all that stuff before my time, and I'm sure you're doing that these days, but it just wouldn't compare to, you just got to learn yourself.
Yeah. I know that a few guys have said the simulator stuff helps reaction time, and a few guys have said too, like, keeping the mind focused for that length of time too, like, in case we ever do get a race that, like a feature that goes, green all the way through, which is a rarity, but it's like, that helps with that side of things, but definitely not like the G-forces and that sort of stuff too. Like, because, like, you got to have your head on a swivel out there too, eh? Like, when you're in a feature, like, take it off on a feature, like, they're just chaos sometimes, aren't they? Like, everyone's just going everywhere, and
it's super intense, and I guess that's the drug that gets everyone, like the adrenaline and the intensity, and it's still to this day, like, you can, I guess, with the off-season, you have 3 or 4 or 5 months off, and then you fire it up here, like we fired it up here the other day, and then it just the smell, the noise,
not this one for everyone who's watching. This one over here.
Yeah, just it makes you feel alive. Like I guess I'm pretty mellow in some other way, a lot of other ways, but at the same, like adrenaline. Once you get that adrenaline in you, like I said, it makes you feel alive, and then it's. I guess once you've tasted it, it's hard to walk away from it, like that feeling. And like I was getting back to, it's a team sport, but at the same time, when you're the driver of the car, you're in there individually. Obviously, your radio can talk one way, but you're basically in your own world. No one can talk to you. It's really on you. Not mirrors around, and you can't see exactly what's going on. You're focusing on your own game plan, and I guess that's the excitement too. Like it's just the intensity, the adrenaline. But at the same time, I've sat there a few times and. Because you just want to do well, I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well, and then sometimes, sitting on the grid or whatnot, and, you can get pretty anxious, or going out for qualifying at a big event or something, and can get yourself worked up. Like, I've become better over the years at staying calm, but sometimes you can... you work yourself over, your anxiety can get pretty high, and then you sometimes can think, do I really want to be doing this anymore? Like, maybe I should just be sitting on the hill having a beer. Like, do I need to be putting myself through this intense regime every weekend? But I love it. It's in the blood, and like I say, no one's making me do it, and I don't want to regret. Giving it away too early just because it become too hard or something like that. I'm going to, extremely lucky to have the opportunity. There's thousands of people out there would love to have a crack in a sprint car. I get that, and will never get the chance. I'm one of the lucky few that got the chance. I'm just not gonna give it away before I have to.
Yeah. When you were saying about instinct, do you believe in natural born races?
Yeah, I do. I believe in talent, and talent in many things. I believe people can work at things and become really good at things through hard work, when maybe they mightn't be as naturally, born with the talent as someone else, and they can probably surpass someone through hard work rather than just talent. But and not just with racing, just in life, like, and it is just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Some people it comes a lot easier to than others. And we see it.
I'd put you in that category, because I've coming from a spectator point of view, watching races, you see some guys make a move and you can tell that they've had to think about it, and then there's other guys that have just done it, and it's like that they haven't had to think about it. It's just this natural reaction of doing it, and then you see other guys where you're like, maybe you shouldn't be in a sprint car, they deserve it and whatever else they've paid for it, whatever else, but it's. It's like I fully believe in. There's the guys who are born for it, and there's the guys that are not. And I put my hand up that I'd be one who's not born for it, because I know where I'd be putting one of these if I was in one. So
and having driven it and whatnot, and growing up watching it, they're not the easiest thing to drive, that's for sure. And I'm certainly one to sit up there and be like, what's he doing? And I know everyone can be very critical from on the hill, but as you would have been told, they're the hardest things to drive, and someone who makes it look easy is doing a pretty good job, because they're animals. But look, I'd like to think I had a bit of talent. to do it. Like I said earlier, I certainly would have loved to have some more success, which I'm sure a lot of people are in the same boat there. But having said that, I believe we've done pretty well for what we got. And just growing up, just growing up watching my dad, and I guess I always had that self-belief that you can do it, and you want to be able to do it. But let me tell you, I got in there first couple of times and was spinning out, and I was really disappointed in myself. And there was a few times there where I just thought, I don't think I can do it. Like, that's all I'd wanted to do. And then early on, I'm like, looking like a dickhead out there. But yeah, you can't give up. And watching, like, I watched it for so long that I was gonna make sure I could do it. But having said that, it doesn't matter how good you are at anything. There's always going to be a lot of people better, and like you look at Kyle Larson, and he was just born with it. I mean, obviously works at it too, but just was born with it.
Just a freak, like an actual freak.
Yeah.
You saw that thing last week? It was like NASCAR. He did like NASCAR, then he went Indy, and then he raced a sprint car on the Saturday night.
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot of sacrifices, and lucky enough to do it as well. Like there'd probably be other guys that are capable of doing it. They just haven't had the chances of like doing it. That's
exactly. Yeah, taking a chance. Yeah, opportunities, being right place, right time, and grabbing those opportunities too.
Like, not knocking him, but imagine if J-Mac's old man said, "No, you're not going racing." Like, imagine if his old man just didn't put him in a go-kart. Like,
exactly.
You'd never know. Like, it was just, that's the luck of it. That's the way the dice rolled, and that's what it is. Like,
No, you're totally right, and and motorsport is like that. Like I grew up racing Bitchman go-karts, and the amount of talent I saw in Bitchman go-karts that, obviously didn't have the money to go on any further. I saw some guys that were awesome in go-karts that probably don't even race anything anymore.
Yeah.
Simply through budget and whatnot. But at the end of the day, that's motorsport. It's always been the same.
Well, like what you're saying about like buying a ride, that's definitely like the V8 supercar game. Like that's you're definitely sort of buying your way in there. There might be one or two guys there that are there on like a free ride as such, but
earned their spot.
The rest of them they're buying their way into those things.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, like it's costing so much money to run a team.
Yeah.
And the only way I guess these teams can continue running is the driver's got to bring a heap of sponsorship money.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I guess, you got old mate here who's won the smaller championships, won everything. He can bring $5 with him, and you got an old mate over here that can bring $2 million.
Yeah.
Certainly hasn't got the talent, hasn't won the races, but that money's going to put that car on the track, and it sucks.
Probably not like in that sort of a way, but I think the next thing that we're going to see a lot of in Australia in sprint cars is rental rides.
Yeah.
I know there's already like a few, I don't want to say who, what, I'm sure you're aware of it, but there's a few of them already sort of floating around, and I think that's probably the next, maybe the next way things will sort of go, because, it's like, and those guys have got the money as well, but they also don't have those pressures of like worrying about them during the week and that sort of stuff. The car gets to the track, they just got to get themselves to the track. I think that's probably going to be, if we don't see a bunch of guys just go to American race for the season and not do anything in Australia, full stop, I think the rental ride thing might sort of be the next wave of going.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Like everything's changing, of course, and yeah, just the time involved, not only the money, and yeah, it's getting harder and harder, as well know, to field your own team. To just get everything organised, and that's really how things have come about. Me driving like for Foster Brad and Christine Foster Motorsport. Same thing. Like he's been around it forever. Brad raced himself, been to America, raced a lot. You know, young family now. You know, he's built up a really successful business to be able to afford to run his own team. You know, he's only a year or two older than me. But between work, like he prepares the car, the race truck, the work, the kids, the family, get to the weekend, and you want to enjoy it a bit rather than the pressures you put on yourself to perform at the end. Like you've put in all the hard yards to get there to the track, and if you get there and you're just ruined before you even start.
That's what we were saying before.
Very difficult to compete against old mate who's been in the hauler, like in the air conditioner, just chilling out. Yeah, been at the gym all week. But some of them have earned that, but the other ones that haven't are just doing it off their own money. Like good luck to them. Like that's what I'd like to be doing too, just working out and doing the work on the weekends and a bit of gym and stuff during the week, but. Yeah, reality here, it doesn't sort of work that way. But yeah, getting back to what you were saying, I could see it going that way. Yeah, if you got the money, and there is some people out there, like you say, that are preparing cars, like Dave McFadden down there, and you can rent a ride, and yeah, they can. Like you say, just turn up, concentrate on their driving, turn up to the track, and walk away at the end of it. Yeah, it just goes back. You need the budget to be able to do it too. Yeah. Because I don't know exact figures, but it wouldn't be cheap. And there at the end, like at the end of the season or at the end of the race, you're walking away with nothing.
Yeah. I don't reckon that would suit you, just rocking up with your gear bag and jumping in and going.
Oh,
you seem like you like to work for it as well, though. Like,
I don't know about that. I'm always looking for the easy way out in life in general, but at the same time, it never seems to work out that way for me. I don't know. I just seem to do things the hard way. I'm trying to do things the easy way, but it just ends up doing it the hard way. But anyway, that's the way that you know, Dad's. Well, we're being brought up. Like nothing was handed to him. You just had to make it happen yourself. Whereas I'm not trying to say for a second it's been as hard for me as it has for him. That's for sure. Like I've been extremely lucky to you know, be able to come in and take over a team as such. But at the same time, I've had to make it work myself too. Like I said, my parents had the team here. I said, look, you've got a great ground in Grampian. If you want to do it, it's just certainly not about just driving the car, turning up, driving it. The work involved is immense during the week, the sacrifices, and then on the other hand, you got to round up some budget too. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a huge juggling act of each time, and I'm not the greatest talker of all time, so I find that quite really difficult to approach people, and especially when you're asking for money to do your hobby as such. Yeah. It just doesn't come natural. It's very difficult to ask people for money at the best of times. But yeah, I find it difficult, and you got to sell yourself too. Whereas I'm more of a shower. I'd rather show you what I can do rather than tell you what I can do. but when you're trying to impress people, impress sponsors, impress companies, you need to be able to talk yourself up a little bit too, and be positive. And whereas I'm getting better at it, but at the same time, I'm more of like, hey, let's just stop talking here. You just watch and see what I can do. Whether you're happy with that. Whereas, it works both ways. You got to be promotable. When you're asking people for money and to advertise their company, you got to be promotable. Whereas, the old easy thing, if you got your own money, you don't have to worry about sponsors. You don't really have to worry about impressing people. So, I was a big fan of Gary Brazier, right? Back in the day, they had their own money and whatnot, and you didn't have to rely on impressing people as such. You could just run your own show it's
I think you're more promotable than what you think you are as well, though. Like, you always put on a show, no matter where you are or what's going on in terms of racing. I
believe I'm competitive. Like, I have really high standards. I'm certainly not good enough to how I want to be better, but at the same time, I'm reasonably happy with what I can do in a sprint car, but
realistic.
And 2025, and I don't 2025, nights a season, and on my night we can beat the big teams, but just not consistent enough. But the reality is we're competing against teams with bigger budgets, and the drivers are often professional drivers. So it's but I have the belief too. I can be extremely critical on myself, but at the same time, I believe in my head, it'd be very difficult, but I could not do a race and go to the Classic this year. I believe I could win it.
Yeah, you got to have that within you, don't you?
I just believe if we get the car right, I get my head right. Sprint car racing, hence sprint. You get a good pill draw. A lot of luck involved, but it can be done. Whereas early on, when had less experience and it was more intimidated by the big guys, I suppose. It's like, you're racing around people that you idolise, growing up.
The big guys that think that of you now.
So you got to be aggressive and confident now that can get things right, can go anywhere and win, but also very realistic too. That's the dream everywhere we go, but reality is you're not gonna. I know that I'm not going to turn up and win every race, but I got the belief that we can.
Yeah.
And I guess until that goes, if that goes, or I start doubting myself too much, that'll be my brain telling me it's time to give the young bloke a go or something. Because I believe we I can compete with the best and see what happens.
So I am as well, but you're more than happy to say that you're working class.
Yeah,
100%.
Sure.
Do you think that's why you have a huge and a very loyal fan base? Do you think that they resonate with that as well? Because like I said, you put on a show no matter where you are, and you're a hard as nails racer. but I think people also resonate with you as a person as well.
Yeah, you could be right. Yeah, had a great head start, like the working class. I guess, my parents started being around it forever, so they saw the determination, I guess, in me, in my dad, in my parents, the determination to do it all, and then I was the son coming along. And yeah, like when I said went on my own path, it was difficult for people to tell me what to do, and I definitely made some wrong decisions in life. Like nothing too bad, but was run to the beat of my own drum a little bit, as in. Yeah, like at a younger age was quite good at sports, like soccer and whatnot, for example. And I will go on to say I believe I was probably more talented soccer player than I was a race car driver.
Yeah, right.
It just came very easy to me. But in my head, I wanted to be a racer. I didn't want to be a soccer player. But what I mean by that is it got to a point where I was 17, 18 there, and then I had a call up to go try out for a pro soccer team, training. That was my point to go pro. And on the other hand, I was still go-karting, but really wanted to get into the sprint car. And honestly, I did the one tryout. They said, come in a couple more weeks for another one. And I think I rang them and just said, I've got an ankle injury. Not going to make it. I'll get back in touch. And never did. That was the last. Never played a soccer game ever again.
Yeah, right.
I was like 17, 18. So I went, still chasing me dreams I knew I was going to get into the sprint car when Dad was ready to give me a shot. But what I mean, running off, beating my own drum, I still wanted to have a good time with my friends. I wasn't the pro athlete. I wasn't portraying, I guess, the 100% commitment that I should have been. That's just coming from my words too. No one was telling me this, but just in my own words, like you do when you're young, like you party and things like that. Because I believed in my natural ability too much.
Yeah.
I wasn't much of a trainer. I didn't like to train to do things. I believe I was under the belief that you're either born you can do it or you can't do it. But that's not how you can. That's not the way you're meant to live life. And when I believe I was more sort of talented soccer player than racer. What I mean by it just came naturally. Like a decent runner. I didn't have to train, so to speak, but I didn't want it as much as. That was just my dream of growing up, was to be a racer. But like I said, got in there and, watching it for so long, watching my dad for so long, I'm like, I'm going to be good at this, and then not be that good early on was...
Should have gone down the soccer.
This is not going to plan, but...
So when we're saying pro soccer, what are we talking Australian stuff or overseas?
So this is going back now, when was it? 97, 98. So it was before the internet even sort of thing. So soccer wasn't huge in Australia, so I was still playing soccer around here, but then played for New South Wales, and then I was captain of New South Wales, and then...
Yeah, right.
What was I playing here? The National Youth League. We were playing in the National Youth League, and we were playing, like we used to play on some good ground like Carlton Soccer Club, and it was back when it was Malcony, and so it was the NSL stuff. But anyway, it was a youth game, a national youth game, and we were playing before it was the NSL, the National Soccer, before, and a scout saw me there and then got called to try out. It was the Gippsland Falcons, I think, at the time, and I don't have regrets, but at the same time, I just didn't pursue it like I probably should have. But at the same time, it wasn't feeling natural to me. I'm not the greatest people person. I'm just not natural at getting out, and especially at that sort of younger age, at going to new places. Like I was the only guy from this area, and I was looking at, wasn't comfortable moving, new teammates, that sort of stuff. I just wasn't ready to do it. Like even at a younger age there, I had a 12 or 13 then, one of our coaches, he was a Croatian, awesome guy, was a really good soccer player, and he had contacts back in Croatia, and then that was at 13, 14, and he spoke to my mum about sending me over to Croatia to live and go to a soccer school at 14.
Wow.
And that sort of conversation didn't go too far, because I wasn't that sort of kid that was going to leave home by myself. But anyway,
just imagine Croatia in those later teen years.
so this is all I've wanted to do, whether it's been the there's no right and wrong to see. This is what I believe I was destined to do. I was born into it. My dad, he obviously had it, he's the one who created it all, but at the same time, I was born with the same juice in me. I know there's kids that, and I don't know what my boys will get into, and to be honest, I don't mind if they don't want to do this sort of stuff, because it's as much as I'd love to, and I'll probably try to keep this 37 team and car going for as long as we can, but at the same time, it's a hard road, long, hard, sacrificing road, whereas sometimes I think, everything, life is not easy, I know, and as the years go on, it's just not meant to be easy, and it's not going to be easy, but sometimes you think, there should be a sport where you don't have to put in as many hours during the week and get into the track. And reality, it's a full-time game, it's a full-time, there's enough work for 2-3 blokes easy for it to be doing it full-time and properly, and majority of people in this country, we're just doing it after hours. So I know, and where most of us are in the same boat, most of us, except for those 3 or 4 big money teams. Most of us are doing it like that, and no one's making us do it. But at the same time, you got to have the family, the partner, the people that are behind you too, because the things behind the scene, it's hard enough just doing it, but if it's not working for your family and the people around you, it's just not going to work, because it just takes way too much time. Yeah,
that's probably, and not knocking you at all, but a guy of your budget taking it to the big teams is one of the things that I just love about sprint car racing. I just love seeing that smaller budget guy just take it to the big guys, and it's truly one of the only forms of motorsport where that can still happen. You're not going to see it any other form. That's one of the greatest things for me about watching sprint car racing.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and that's why we do it too. everything's money orientated, but at the same time in this sport, like at the end of the day, like apart from the motor, like you can build a really nice, well these days, a really nice race car, $35,000, right? Motor's the big thing. Like I said, you might get a competitive one for 40, 50, but to build a brand new one, 100. But anyway, that car sitting there, like say your bigger money tank, no one can really have a much better car, if at all, than that one there. So, like you say, most of us, still a lot of money to get one car, but you can still build a really competitive race-winning car for, 120 grand. Whereas, and can go out there and, like you say, the underdog can win. It's just where the big money comes in is obviously the depth of your team and being able to run it as hard as you can and keep building, like wreck that car and next race be able to put that exact same car out again and again. Yeah. Whereas most of us fall down, be able to build one really nice car but get in an unfortunate wreck this week and then that car's all torn up. Bust your guts to build another one if you can, but you're a little bit hesitant then because you're running low on equipment, things aren't. Whereas, the money, the depth, like having 4 or 5 of everything, that's where it can help you. But yes, to have that one car, like you say, Kyle Larson comes to Australia, or he can't really have any better car than mine. The rawness of just racer against racer is still truly alive in this sport. And the best thing they've done is kept, obviously, the electronics out of the engine, out of the electronic injection out of the vehicle. Because once they let that in, then the Formula One technology just takes over, which is exactly what's happened to Bitchman Racing, V8 Supercars. It's all engineered, looking at data. It gets way too far, and it's just the budget is just determines what cars are at the front and what not. It just depends how much money they got as to what engineers they can get, what they can, what data they can get out of the car. Whereas these things are still pretty raw. The mechanics, it's all just driver feedback.
The sound of them.
Yeah, it's and like you say, the underdog can still win, which is awesome. And that's what keeps it alive. Although money's a huge thing, it's not the be all and end all of this game. So that's what drives you to keep trying to beat the big boys. I don't mind being the underdog here and there. We all wish to be, more wealthy and this and that, but being the underdog's great, and I am pretty genuine, I believe, like what you were saying. People can resonate with me because it's a family orientated sport, and most of us are just working class. I'm just dirty old mechanic during the week, mate, family man. I'm just a lucky guy that gets to drive a sprint car, but I certainly never thought and never will I'm no better than the next bloke sitting next to me.
Well, you are, but anyway.
I always wanted to just meet and meet people and treat them the way you wish to be treated yourself, and try and go through life and with fairness and respect. But at the same time, I can fire up here and there, and certainly will stick up for myself here and there if I believe I'm in the right, or if I believe I'm right, I'll definitely say my piece. But at the same time, I've made mistakes, run my mouth here and there. But as long as you own it and and don't sort of carry on too much here and there. There's no harm in standing up for yourself.
Yeah. So you know what's coming now, don't you? We spoke about it beforehand. I'll get absolutely crucified if we don't speak about it.
Yeah.
The classic just gone.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who made the decision to push out for the feature?
Oh, well,
Because did you know prior to that you weren't pushing off for the race?
well, we did so I'll start from the start, I guess, a little bit. And I don't believe it was a personal vendetta against like us or our race team or anything like that. It was just, so I guess the incident we're talking about, we were in the B main, the top three from the two B mains transfer. I was running third, took the white flag, coming out of turn 2, like she just free rev, right? As it turned out, I blew the rear end up. But I knew I was in third position. I'm heading down the back straight, just coasting, thinking, well, we're done here. I'm waiting for the cars to come past. But yeah, still hadn't seen anyone roll around 3 and 4, and no one had come. And I'm like heading to the line. I'm thinking I'm going to cross it in third here, so head to the line. But as I didn't know what was coming from behind. As I'm crossing the line, basically, feel a decent shunt from behind. Bum, 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 stop. Then I still really didn't know what had happened until I'd seen it after, to be honest. But anyway, so we've crossed the line in third in the B main, transferred to the Classic under the belief. So, yeah, the boys pushed the car back to the trailer, thrashing away there to change the rear end, and they were pretty much done. Changed the rear end. I'd thrown some tear-offs on because they were getting ready for driver interviews, and then so it was a good 10 or 15 minutes after what had happened. One steward came down and said, "Oh, look, you've been deemed the cause of the accident. You're being disqualified from the B main, so you're not in the event." And wasn't agreeing with that. So obviously emotions were high and whatnot. My team were, "Oh, well, Grant, you better go and find the chief steward, sort out what's going on. They're not going to let you go out." So anyway, there I go, head off, try and find the chief steward and try and sort out what's going on. And that was their reasoning. Basically, read the rule book. They say I caused the accident. I guess to the letter of the law, whereas that rule can be, I guess it can be, interpreted by the letter of the law. Yes, if they want to, enforce that, yep, you've deemed me the cause of the accident. But just opens up a huge can of worms to me anyway, not just that incident. I went on to say, so you're going to tell me like that happens in the A main, the winner of this Classic comes around, blows up coming out of turn 4, say Sheldon Hordenchild, for example, blows up, the guy running second hits him from behind, but the winner still crosses the line in first. You're going to get up on the PA and say, no, we've disqualified him. I just don't believe it would have happened that way. And so, just couldn't understand the reasoning for the decision. No one could. Obviously, I was copping it from all angles, as in people asking me, what's going on? How does this happen? How does that happen? And I'm the sort of guy that can get pretty well. I'm like, mate, like, don't you think I'm thinking the same thing? I got no answer for you. They've determined that we're out. Can't do anything about it. And yeah, the guys were still, I was up there arguing with the chief steward, and they're calling the cars up. So the guys pushed up. They said, nah, we're not going to let you start, And I think we just stood out there getting pretty worked up, and then I grabbed Gavin White there and said, I'm going to say my piece. He really didn't want to let me do it. I just said, no, look, I'll keep it clean, and I just believed the crowd, everyone needed to understand exactly what was going on, because I knew what I was, the amount of people that were going to come down after, and I'd have to repeat the same answer 5,000 times. So I just figured, well, this was the decision by the steward, and that's how it played out. It's run and done now. Very controversial, I believe. Like I said, I don't believe it was personal against us, but I just believe it was a call that didn't need to be made. And like I said, by the letter of the law, maybe you could make that decision, but there was a call that didn't need to be made. That the race was over. Yes, there was an incident crossing the finish line, but I know, like Waters, who was the car that flipped behind me, he certainly wasn't blaming me. I wasn't blaming him. It was just a racing incident. He was obviously having a race behind me, approached me too quick, ran over the back of me, but as it stood, I still finished in third. So it was nothing against my team against his team, or vice versa, and even between us drivers, like me and Cam Waters spoke about it after. It was nothing between us. The whole controversy just came about through the decision that they felt they had to make. So obviously it's run and done now. Yeah, they believe that, they needed to make that decision. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is.
Now, did you purposely push off past Mount Max? When you went back into the pits, did you purposely go past? Because like that, did you hear how loud the place got when you pushed out? When you pushed back into the pits?
Well, I don't know. I just I guess we were facing that way. I said, okay, they're not going to let us start, so we'll just push back in. I give a bit of a wave off, and and then
the place nearly burnt down.
I'm sure there were a few with me, and there were some against me, but I don't regret saying me bit. I know I probably carried on a little bit, but at the same time, I didn't want it to get brushed under the rug. Because it was a huge deal for it was going to be very difficult to win from there or go well from there, but it's the classic, mate. 100 cars to make the top 24 is an achievement in itself, and you never know what's going to happen from there. So not only to be DQ'd from the B main, I don't get my start money for the classic. And having said that, very difficult to win, but there has been a time I've run fourth in the A main from the B main at the classic before, so it can be done. To even get in the top 10, it's a good paying event. So there again, a good classic weekend for me it helps my budget hugely. So not that it wasn't all about the money, but I wanted to make it and then to have a chance in the A main too. So it was just taken away from us through just bad. I guess it just put it down to bad luck, to be honest. It was none of my team's fault. It certainly wasn't my fault. I'm not blaming any of the other drivers. It just, destiny kept us out of that race.
Yeah.
It was done, and
Because you could easily have been in the other position too. Like, yeah. So,
yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. It was just one of them weekends because what was it? They ran the night 2 feature just before because it got rained out. So, I was running 5th or 6th there, got together with Marcus, and I actually flipped in the... so we were decent on points after the first night, but after I DNF'd that A main, dropped me back to the B. I think might have started 9th in the B. Anyway, got to 3rd and I was transferred, so I believe we earn it. The team had a tough time. They'd already fixed the car. We'd had enough going on. We'd earn our spot in the Classic, and then to have it taken away from us, it just didn't sit well. But run and done now. On to the next one.
oh man, this has been eye-opening, eh?
It's awesome.
I hope people enjoy this. This is especially the soccer stuff. That's a trip to know which way you could have ended up, like just in life in general, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't like to boast about that, but I'm a non-thinker, was just more of a doer, and was just better at sport than... But having said that now, because when I went into working life, I'm like, I believe my motor skills were pretty good, reflexes and stuff like that, so I'm like, okay, what high-paying job can I get? Like high risk, high paying, that's good, that you need good reflexes for. Well, I Googled the whole thing and it just comes up, race driver. That's what it comes up, and I'm like, that's not working for me. But all good. But the talent I believe that I sort of naturally had with me motor skills lacked a bit up top. But anyway, I'm all right. I just I didn't concentrate too much at school and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, no regrets. The show must go on. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks very much.
Good on you. Thanks
Cheers,
for having
man.
me.
You're done.